Somewhere on the western slope of Colorado, a man spent 5 years and roughly $40 a square foot blasting a house directly into a sandstone cliff. His annual heating and cooling bill is about 1/10 of a normal home. That is not a typo, and it is not the strangest part of this story. Today we are breaking down cliff-dwelling tiny houses, homes built into, onto, or hanging off the side of solid rock. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what it costs in 2026, how builders keep these things from sliding off the mountain, and the one detail that almost nobody tells you before they fall in love with the idea. If strange, honest, no fluff housing content is your thing, hit subscribe right now, because we break down a new alternative housing style like this every single week. Let's clear something up first. When most people search for cliff houses online, they get flooded with multi-million-dollar cantilevered mansions in Malibu or the Balearic Islands. Beautiful, but that is not what we are talking about. A true cliff-dwelling tiny house falls into one of 3 categories. First, a home carved directly into rock, using the stone itself as walls, floor, and roof. Second, a small structure built into a natural cave or overhang, using the cliff as a partial shell. Third, a lightweight pod or cabin anchored to a cliff face with steel supports, more attached to the rock than built inside it. All 3 trade square footage for something you cannot buy anywhere else. A home that barely needs heating, cooling, or a roof, because the mountain is already doing that job. This is not a new idea. Long before anyone called it a tiny house, ancestral Puebloan communities were building directly into the sandstone cliffs of what is now southwestern Colorado between the 9th and 14th centuries. Mesa Verde still holds some of the most complete examples anywhere in North America. They were not doing it for the view. The overhangs gave protection from weather and from raiding parties. The thick rock kept interior temperatures stable through brutal desert swings, and building above the canyon floor freed up the limited flat land nearby for growing food. Every reason those builders had 800 years ago is still a reason people cite today. Only the tools have changed. Fast forward to the Colorado western slope, just west of Grand Junction. A builder named Charles Nystrom spent 5 years researching cave and cliff construction before blasting his own home into a sandstone outcrop above the Colorado River. He used hydraulic mining methods to hollow out the cave, then closed off the front with a concrete block and stone wall, leaving over 200 square feet of southwest-facing glass to let light in. The build cost landed close to what a quality conventional home cost at the time, roughly $40 to $45 a square foot in that era's pricing. Not cheap, not outrageous either, because blasting rock replaces a lot of the material and labor a normal foundation and frame would need. Here is the number that matters. His annual heating and cooling bill came out to around 34 cents a day, about 1/10 of what a similarly sized tract home in the same climate would cost to run. The cave overhang blocks summer sun. The rock holds winter warmth, and reflective blinds handle the shoulder seasons. That single fact is the entire argument for cliff dwelling as a housing style, energy performance that frame construction simply cannot match. On the tiny house side specifically, one recent build got attention for putting a 625 square foot home 75 feet up a mountainside, partially inside a natural cave, fully equipped as a permanent residence. It is a rare example of the cliff-dwelling concept scaled down to true tiny house size instead of luxury estate size. You'll also find concept designs like nest and box out of Sweden, wooden pod-style units meant to mount directly onto cliff walls using steel anchoring, pitched as affordable infill housing for cities that have run out of flat land. Worth knowing up front, this one is a design concept from architecture firm Mano Factory, not a product you can currently buy and install. It is useful for understanding where the idea could go, not as a real purchase option today. Here's the part every cliffside build has in common, tiny or huge. Before anyone pours concrete or fires a jackhammer, you need a geotechnical survey. That survey tells your engineer the rock type, the slope stability, the drainage pattern, and the frost depth. It decides whether your project is buildable at all before you spend $1 on design. Most cliffside structures anchor into bedrock using rock anchors, or micropiles, steel rods drilled deep into the rock and grouted in place for tensile strength. If any part of the structure projects outward past its support, the cantilever gets tied back into steel moment frames or box girders that borrow strength from the anchor portion of the building. Recent cliffside builds in British Columbia have used structural systems borrowed directly from bridge engineering to pull off cantilevers in the 20 to 30-foot range. Then there's water. Hillsides move water downhill whether you want them to or not, and hydrostatic pressure against a wall built into a slope is one of the most common failure points in this style of construction. Builders deal with it through French drains, diverted springs, and waterproofing membranes applied in multiple layers. Skip this step, and you get a damp, failing structure no matter how solid the rock looks. All of that engineering has a price. Industry estimates put cantilevered and custom-engineered cliffside designs at 20 to 40% more expensive than an equivalent flat site build. That premium buys you a foundation system that, done correctly, can outperform standard code minimum construction for decades. This is the number I promised you at the start, so here it is in full. If you are building an earth-sheltered shell into a slope using a contractor, current 2026 pricing runs about $95 to $150 per square foot for the basic concrete or steel structure alone. Once you add interior finishes, which run another $100 to $200 per square foot, and factor in specialized engineering, a professionally finished cliff tiny home realistically starts around $250 to $400 per square foot. Why so high for a tiny space? Because tiny footprints pack all their expensive mechanicals, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC into a tight area, and cliffside engineering does not come cheap. Standard custom homes nationally are already running $200 to $350 or more per square foot in 2026 thanks to persistent skilled trade shortages, and tiny homes typically run higher per square foot than that, not lower, because those same systems get squeezed into a fraction of the space. Add the 20 to 40% cliffside engineering premium on top, and the math tracks with the figure above. If you are an experienced owner-builder willing to do your own excavation and framing in an area with light code enforcement, historical builder accounts put raw material costs as low as $10 to $15 per square foot, though almost nobody today is working in a jurisdiction with that little oversight, and that figure does not include site work, permitting, engineering, or a septic and water system. On top of construction, budget separately for site access. On one recent cliffside build in Cornwall, England, the driveway alone took 2 years to build and was its own major engineering project before the house even started. Do not let a contractor's per square foot quote fool you into thinking that number covers everything. This is the part a lot of housing channels skip, so let's not skip it. Permitting takes longer. A geotechnical survey plus structural engineering review routinely adds months to a timeline that a flat lot build would not need. One recent UK cliffside project spent 2 full years just in the planning application process, including an initial refusal. Insurance and financing get harder. Lenders and insurers want to see documented engineering for anything built into an unstable slope, and some will not touch a project until that paperwork is airtight. Access is expensive before the house is expensive. Steep sites often cannot support standard construction vehicles, which means specialized equipment, more time, and more cost before framing even starts. And realistically, very few contractors have done this kind of work. You are not hiring a general tiny home builder. You are hiring a team with documented experience in slope stabilization and cantilever design, and that team is not cheap or easy to find in every region. If your only goal is the cheapest possible tiny home, this is not your build. A slab-on-grade tiny house on a flat lot will beat a cliff dwelling on cost almost every time. But if you're chasing something a normal build cannot give you, a home with energy bills close to nothing, walls that do not need insulation because 8 feet of solid rock is already doing that job, and a footprint that leaves the land around it completely untouched, cliff dwelling is one of the only housing styles on Earth that can actually deliver that. It is also quite literally the oldest form of home construction we have evidence of, still working 800 years later. If this one surprises you, hit like so many people see it, Subscribe for a new alternative housing breakdown every week, and drop a comment telling me which housing style you want us to fact check next. See you in the next one.